How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we are here with our Week 10 recap of the week, where basically we're going to review all the games, kind of talk about some things that I saw on film and on the games, and, have like a little mini discussion about a couple of things as well that may have happened, within the game or maybe a little bit after the game for a couple of these teams. But before we get started, drop a like, show your friends, and, share the video. It'd be awesome if you showed some more friends the video and the content that I have over here. Yes, I get it. It's a lot of Madden play. It's me messing around in practice, letting the computer play. But a lot of that is so I can focus and concentrate on the talking. The Madden is more of like a background thing. Really, it's all about what I'm saying and the content and which is coming out of my mouth. So let's focus on that, shall we? But let's go ahead and start off with the big elephant in the room, my predictions. Yeah, they were shit this week. 5-8, I'm pretty sure I went. After recalculating, like, my percentage is still good. I think it's like, just over 62%. I think it's like 62.2% or something when you calculate all of the, percentages and all that good stuff. But, I'm still doing fine. It's just, another bad week. I thought we were done with the bad weeks, I thought this was over with. But let's go ahead and get started with the Thursday Night Football game, the Chargers at the Raiders, and this is a 26-24 victory for the soon-to-be Las Vegas, but Oakland Raiders. A big-time win on Thursday night. Actually gives this team hope in terms of potentially being a playoff team, a wild card team that being. I know a lot of people are saying it probably won't happen, and you're right, it probably won't happen, but you know what? They got a pretty favorable schedule coming up, and who knows, man? All it takes is for like Pittsburgh or Buffalo to drop one of those games, and Oakland wins the next two, and boom, they're already in the discussion just like that. But let's go ahead and talk about Eric Harris. So he's the Raiders free safety, I'm pretty sure. He had 2 interceptions in this game. Probably could have had like 4 if they weren't called back due to penalties like pass interference or holding. But, Eric Harris balled out, in this game. Very opportunistically. Yeah, he wasn't perfect in terms of, like, not allowing people to catch the football, but he did get 2 interceptions, and they came pretty early, which allowed Oakland to get momentum going early. This game, in my opinion, and I'm not going to rant too long on Phillip Rivers, but this was kind of vintage Phillip Rivers. Like, he's always had the talent. He's always been able to make a lot of the throws, but I feel like a lot of the time, it's not even like a Chargers thing all the time. Like, yeah, the management hasn't been the greatest over the years, but it's been pretty solid. But I feel like Phillip Rivers just gets in his own way sometimes. Maybe that's just me reading too much into what happened on Thursday Night Football, but damn, it really feels like that a lot. It really feels like he's been getting in his own way. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you wonder why he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but sometimes you do wonder because, it seems like he has 1 or 2 of these games a year. Like, you just never know when it's going to happen. That's the thing. However, despite all of Phillip Rivers' mistakes and not being on the money and him ending with 3 interceptions, it was still a close game. It was only a 2-point loss for the Chargers. They were still in it until the very last drive. And Derek Carr, to me, when going back and watching his film, like, yes, I'm pretty sure he had a high completion percentage, but meh. His performance was kind of meh this game. To me, it was more about rookie running back Josh Jacobs, man, who completely balled out, and he's making a great case for being the offensive rookie of the year. It's probably going to be between him and Kyler Murray, as far as I'm concerned, because now Gardner Minshew's going to the bench, so we can kind of forget about Minshew mania for now. But it looks like Josh Jacobs, as of right now, is going to be the offensive rookie of the year. Like I said, things can change. We still have a lot of ball left to play, but for now, it's looking like Josh Jacobs. So yeah, I know the notes for that game was pretty brief. Trust me, there's a lot of games where we have a lot of stuff to cover, especially the ones with like playoff implications and stuff like that. But we move on to the Battle of New York, the New York Giants facing the New York Jets. Danny Dimes, man, I tell you what, Danny Dimes as a thrower of the football is not bad whatsoever. He's actually pretty solid. He hits a lot of throws that, like, you don't really see a whole lot of quarterbacks making, and it's not a knock at those guys, but it's just more praise at Daniel Jones. But he's got a fumbling issue, and he is going to fumble at least once a game, it seems like. It's kind of like Jameis Winston with boneheaded decisions. You know, like, he's going to make one of those a game, Jameis that being. But with Daniel Jones, it's like you're guaranteed to recover a fumble of his. And he has the most turnovers in the NFL with 4 less games played behind Jameis Winston. Now, we kind of expect rookies to be up there. Jameis, not so much. But we're going to talk some good and maybe a little bad about Jameis, but mainly good because he did ball out against the Cardinals. Let's see. This was a confidence booster for Sam Darnold. He was not the greatest in this game, but he did make a lot of good throws. He still struggles under pressure in terms of like dudes being in his face and stuff, but it looks like that's just going to be a part of his game. But he was making some plays out there. Jamison Crowder had himself a hell of a ball game as well, so we're not going to hammer Sam Darnold too much. He did what he was supposed to do against a bad football team and a bad defense, and that's shred him up. So I'm not really going to fault Sam Darnold for doing that. Saquon was terrible. I think he had 1 rushing yard in that entire game. But he did own it at the press conference. He says, you know what, we all play nicked up. We all play a little hurt. But for me, that's no excuse, and I'm not going to play that bad ever again, basically, is what he was trying to say. And I respect that. You know, a pro player, a great player, just owning, you know, having a bad game. And everybody has a bad game. And for Saquon, it just so happened to be in the Battle of New York. So, yeah, there's that. But, you know, I don't think people should hold Saquon too close to the fire there when it comes to, you know, faulting him for the loss. It's not his fault that they lost, but it definitely could have gave them a lot more juice in the run game. But you have to give the Jets credit. They sold out for the run a lot in this game, and it ended up paying off. But the Jets secondary and the Giants secondary, I felt like I was watching 2 shit shows on defense. Both of their secondaries are terrible. At least the Jets have Jamal Adams, you know, like, at least that they have that. He did basically take the ball out of Daniel Jones's hands on that fumble recovery for a touchdown. So Jamal Adams is still balling, but I do want to say this about Jamal Adams real quick. We all know, like, he was not receptive towards the idea of him being on the trade block, and a lot of great players should not be. But I will say this. I do respect him for being upset and also wanting to be a New York guy for life. But there was another star player whose name was on the trade block, or at least fielding calls for him, and that was DeAndre Hopkins, and we heard nothing from him. You know, there was silence on his end. You know, we didn't hear anything because, you want to know why? Because he didn't allow it to become a distraction. Whereas, you know, Jamal Adams made a big deal out of it. Like, yes, it sucks that players basically can play well and then basically be put on the trade block. But the stuff that they were asking Dallas for, you know, like picks and Zach Martin, like, they were asking for a lot. Like, they thought pretty highly of you there, pal. I mean, they were like, man, if we're going to trade you, we are going to get everything we could possibly get. This is going to be bigger than the Khalil Mack Oakland trade. That's basically the way they were looking at it. So, yes, I get why he's upset. I get he's a baller, and he's been balling out for this team. He wants to be New York for life, but get over it. It's the NFL. Like, I know it's a hard thing for me to say because it's like, oh, easy for you to say. You've never been traded or before. Yeah, you're right, but come on, like, you shouldn't be focused on that, you know, out of all things. Focus on the shitty defense that you're a part of that you happen to be the only positive thing about. You know, like, focus on that. Let's see, Falcons at Saints. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of praise here for the Falcons. You know, 26-9. They took care of business. Did I forget to say the Giants score? Maybe. 34-27 Jets win. Yeah, this game was 26-9 between the Falcons and the Saints. The Saints just came out flat. Like, they did a couple of cool things on offense with Taysom Hill, as they try to do every week. But they just came out flat. This was kind of their version of Packers versus Chargers. Like, they had their Packers game. They played very, you know, flat. They didn't play that well. And, you know, I'm sick of people, like, every time somebody loses, oh, they got exposed. You know, like, our team's not allowed to have one bad game, you know, on the entire season. Like, yeah, they ran into the Falcons, who are also coming off a bye week. And Arthur Blank basically put it out there like, hey, we're going to be monitoring you, Dan Quinn, on your job performance. So, yeah, the Falcons actually have more to play for in this game. That's not an excuse for the Saints being terrible. They did have a bad game, but God forbid a good team has one bad performance. All of a sudden, they got exposed. You know, like, I hate that saying so much. What exactly is the definition of exposed? Exposed would be like the Buffalo Bills, who we're going to talk about later. Exposed is not the New Orleans Saints, for crying out loud. They're still going to be a heavyweight in the NFC. Nothing's changing about that. But let's give credit to the Falcons, first and foremost. The Falcons defense had 6 sacks, and my guy, man, one of my guys, you know, everybody has him when it comes draft time, and, you know, when it comes to who's going to break out, whose career you're following, and it was Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett was so active in this game. Going up against rookie center Eric McCoy, who a lot of people are trying to say is like the best rookie offensive lineman. Let's just say that's not true. It's Elton Jenkins, but believe what you want to believe. Grady Jarrett balled out, and the Falcons defense did have 6 sacks. We saw Alan Bailey get in there. I think Vic Beasley came away with a sack. Good to see him getting his confidence back a little bit. And we're going to talk more about Dan Quinn in a second, but let me just talk about the game first. We did see Devontae Freeman go down with an injury, but Brian Hill, who's been on the roster for a little bit, definitely stepped up. And I like to see players get an opportunity because, you know, as fans in general, not even just a fan of the Falcons, because I'm not a fan of the Falcons, but if I were, you know, it'd be pretty miserable this year. But if they, you know, they're probably my second favorite team if I had to have one, because, you know, going to training camp with Aaron, that was a great experience. But, you know, Brian Hill stepping in, it's good to see players get an opportunity. You know, you want to see what your guys are made of. You know, what can they do when their name is called? And Brian Hill played good. You know, I think he had 61 rushing yards. He had a receiving touchdown in this game as well. So some good stuff to see there. And now let's talk about the Dan Quinn aspect. So, of course, Arthur Blank put it out there like, hey, we're going to monitor your performance over the next 4 weeks. You know, we hear the stuff about you potentially being fired. Let's see how you come out. And the players responded. Obviously, they love Dan Quinn. They want to play for him, but we're about 8 weeks too late. Maybe you should have started doing this from the rip, and maybe your team wouldn't be in this situation. I don't know, just a thought, maybe. I don't know if he's going to be the coach in Atlanta next year. I do respect the fact that the players do like him and they want to play for him, and this is something I've brought up multiple times when we've had this conversation of hashtag fire Dan Quinn. Like, the players do like him, you know, and guys like him. Like, he's a good guy. But the thing that I always say, or the thing that I've been saying recently, is good people get fired all the time. Like, this isn't new. Like, good people will always get fired. It just doesn't matter. So, yeah, Dan Quinn may be a great motivator. Guys may like him. Guys may be bought in. But I don't know if he's going to keep his job. Like, it's so easy to say that now. But, you know, after they beat the shit out of the Saints, like, it's so easy to say that. But 1 week doesn't dismiss what happened the first 8. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're not going to get me to change my mind after 1 good week of defense. And they actually started to run a lot more man coverage, which is something I've been wanting the Falcons to do. You have the speed. You have the personnel. Why are you playing this cover 3 conservative-ass defense? Like, your defense has a lot of speed, a lot of versatility. You can afford to gamble and be aggressive. The worst thing that happens is you give up a bunch of big plays. Well, by you sitting back in cover 3 and playing conservative, you already gave up a bunch of big plays. So what's the worst thing that can happen? You give up a bunch of big plays in man blitz situations? Oh, boo-hoo. Like, you have all this speed, you have all this talent, like, make use of it. Know how to use your personnel, people. Like, come on. But as for the Saints, this was a terrible week for them. You know, like we said, they came out flat, kind of like Green Bay did against the Chargers. Like, for me, yeah, I'm going to react harshly against Green Bay because I'm a Packer fan. I don't have any emotional connection to the Saints other than I love Drew Brees. But I wouldn't really be concerned for the Saints moving forward. They're going to be a top 3 team in the NFC. You know, like, it does matter. It is concerning. There are weaknesses, obviously, in the Saints. But they just got whipped in this game. I think the Falcons just simply deserve credit. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Chiefs at Titans. This is a very entertaining game, but surprisingly for me, not a whole lot of bullets at points for me to really hit on, other than the fact that Mahomes was special this game. You know, he was awesome to watch. He did a lot of great things, but they didn't win. You know, like, he played awesome first game back. You know, throwing jump passes to Mecole Hardman. You know, Tyreek Hill balled out. Did have a couple of drops. Travis Kelce did his thing against a good Titans defense. Like, yeah, you score 32 points against a great defense, and you don't win. You know, like, we knew this was a weakness, too, when, you know, people like me and others were picking the Chiefs to potentially get to a Super Bowl. Like, we knew this was a weakness, but damn, I mean, you gotta play better than that. You're playing Ryan Tannehill, you know what I'm saying? And that's not a knock towards Ryan Tannehill, because he's actually been awesome. But, like, come on, you gotta play better than that. And we're gonna speak good about Ryan Tannehill. You know, it feels like, to me, he just gives this team hope. You know, and hope that Marcus Mariota never gave this team. Like, yeah, Mariota had his big plays here and there, but he was never consistent. At least we know what we're getting in Ryan Tannehill. We're getting a guy that can make a couple of plays. He's a serviceable quarterback at best. He's not anything special. Like, we know that. Like, we know what we're getting in Ryan Tannehill. With Marcus Mariota, it's always been upside, potential, and he's never quite cracked the code on his own potential. And upside, maybe that's because he's not as good as people make him out to be. And there's a reason he's being benched right now for Ryan Tannehill, who was a former college receiver, converted to quarterback, like, in his college days. But let's focus on the fact that Tannehill just gives this team more hope. Like, they can actually move the ball. You know, they're somewhat consistent, you know. But Derrick Henry is a unique running back, man. He's just a damn beast. Like, he doesn't blow you away athletically. He's just a freak specimen that's hard to tackle. He doesn't really have a quick burst at all on any sort of outside runs or even inside runs. But he's just a freaking beast. Like, what more can you say about Derrick Henry? He's just a beast, straight up. And this was a disaster game for Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, former Georgia guy. Not University of Georgia, but he went to a Georgia college. I just can't remember which one it was. May have been Georgia Southern, can't quite remember, or Georgia State, one of the two. But he just had a disaster game. I think he missed 2 field goals, including that last one that got blocked, and I think he missed an extra point. I did go back and watch, you know, like that potential game-tying field goal thing over and over. The dude did not jump off sides. I had to watch it like 10 times to make sure. He didn't jump off sides. I think he just perfectly timed it. But I can understand, like, from certain camera views why people would think that. But he didn't. He perfectly timed it. I had to watch it a million times. Well, really about 7. Just to make sure. Alright, Ravens at Bengals. Lamar Jackson, another perfect passer rating game. I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said? Like, I'm not going to proclaim him to be the MVP. He definitely belongs in the discussion. Definitely belongs in the top 3 of that discussion with Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson. But, you know, what can I say that hasn't already been said? Like, I knew this guy was going to be, you know, pretty good in year 2. I didn't think he would make this big of a leap, but I just knew he was going to be pretty good. You know, like, it just doesn't surprise me. The only thing that surprises me is how well he has been playing in terms of throwing the football. Like, I knew he had it in him, but, you know, a lot of people weren't optimistic about him, you know, as a thrower of the football. But he's now tied for second all time in terms of games with a perfect passer rating. I think, let's see, the record's 3. I think 2 people hold it. And he's got 2. And yes, they were both against bad teams. A lot of your favorite players' highlights and statistical outcomings is against bad teams. So what's the point? Why are we even using that against them at this point? Like, it is what it is. Like, did Jared Goff have a perfect passer rating against the Bengals? I didn't think so. You know, like, come on. Like, I can just keep going and going and going. At this point, if you're finding something small to criticize Lamar about, it's not even criticism. You're just straight up being a hater. You know, it's more about your pride than just calling it like you see it at this point. The Heisman formation, though, let's talk about it. I mean, there was a triple option play with Lamar, RG3, and yeah, you heard that correctly. 2 quarterbacks in the backfield, and Mark Ingram. The Heisman formation. It was a joke at a press conference, and they actually made it reality. Like, holy crap. I'm glad to see it. It was a triple option. They fake it to Mark Ingram. Lamar takes off with it. Last second pitch to RG3. I think he picks up about 10 yards or so. Maybe it was 9. Can't remember. And of course, that spin move. I'm not going to talk about it forever. ESPN's going to beat it into the ground. But damn, that spin move. If by some miracle you have not seen it, please go watch it, and watch it over and over and over. Or just turn on ESPN. They're probably showing it right now as we speak. But I do want to talk about the Bengals. I'm not here to just gloat about Lamar Jackson. Like, I knew he was going to be good. I don't know why so many people doubted him, but that's a different discussion. They have their reasoning. I have mine for at least being a little optimistic. But let's talk about the Bengals. Zach Taylor. Now, we know 8 teams last year all brought in a new coach. Out of all the coaches that were brought in, he's the only one that hasn't won a game. Like, the Bengals haven't won a game. And it's not like the Bengals don't have talent. It's not like they're not a talented team. But this is very concerning if you're Zach Taylor. And I'm not a guy that's going to tell you to give up on a first-year head coach. I would at least give him another season. But this is a serious discussion. Like, do we give up on Zach Taylor? Like, I'm a little concerned, to be honest. Like, do we give up on a first-year head coach? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And Ryan Finley. Let's talk about Ryan Finley and how he looked. Overall, he wasn't terrible. Like, he did have that pick 6. Marcus Peters baited him. Welcome to the NFL moment. But Ryan Finley wasn't completely terrible. I mean, he is a backup for a reason. Let's just start there. But he wasn't terrible. You know, like, he did make some good plays here and there. Nothing to write home about, but, you know, decent. Nothing really more to say. Cardinals at Bucks, man. This was a fireworks show. Maybe, you know, not like 50 points from each team or nothing. But Jameis Winston, Kyler Murray, just airing it out. They each had a turnover. But they were basically just airing that puppy out. I mean, they were going crazy throughout the game in terms of just, you know, throwing it all over the lot against, you know, each other's terrible secondaries. Great stuff, though. Great stuff to see if you're a fan of either one of those guys or both. Christian Kirk, man, all year he hasn't had a touchdown. He finally explodes for a 3-touchdown game. You know, what a way to respond. Like, you don't have a touchdown all season, and then you come out and get 3. Like, good shit, Christian Kirk. Like, you deserve it. Congratulations, bud. Ronald Jones and Kenyon Drake improving their stock as players, you know? Like, Kenyon Drake, another pretty solid game. We did see David Johnson. I think he had 1 carry for 2 yards, and he just went to the bench. Like, and he fumbled. So that's concerning. Maybe Kenyon Drake will stick around. I don't know. Or maybe he's still auditioning for free agency. But David Johnson, keep your eye on that. Very concerning if you're a fantasy owner of David Johnson. I don't even think he's a reliable play anymore. I think he's just a dude that is going to have to ride your bench. But Ronald Jones as well. You know, a second-year running back. I know a lot of people weren't the highest on him. Me, I was kind of like, okay, well, I don't know if he's a second-round pick, but he could be solid. That was kind of my outlook. I mean, he's better than Peyton Barber. He should have been starting from the beginning. But Bruce Arians finding a way to get him involved in the passing game as well. Ronald Jones has been pretty good this year. If the NFL had a Most Improved Player award, I don't know if he'd win it, but he'd definitely be top 5. Ronald Jones has been playing well. And he deserves a lot of credit, you know. Rookie year, there were rumors about him not learning the playbook, didn't really understand the offense, you know, not the greatest guy in the locker room. But with Bruce Arians, I mean, hey, he's going to get the most out of you. Bruce Arians is a good player coach, and he probably made sure, hey, we're going to get the best out of this kid regardless. And now we're going to talk about a very interesting thing that happened after the game. Former first-round pick Vernon Hargreaves was released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after the game. Now, I don't know where he signed to as of recording this. I don't even know if he signed yet anywhere. But I do imagine he will get picked up today or tomorrow. Maybe by the time the video comes out, we'll know where he is. But as of recording, I don't have an answer. I'm not going to speculate or anything like that. But I do think a team that just needs some young talent in general should probably take a look at him. I don't know if playoff teams should necessarily, but it wouldn't hurt to add the depth. But I do think a young team that does need some talent should take a look at him. It's not the worst thing in the world for you to do that. But let's go ahead and move on to Lions at Bears. The quarterback matchup we all wanted to see. Jeff Driscoll versus Mitchell Trubisky. Basically the same quarterback. I mean, I watched Mitchell Trubisky face Mitchell Trubisky. No, but in reality, Jeff Driscoll actually did play well. I actually do have a note here. So he did catch his own pass at one point. Very Brett Favre-esque. Oh, man, I always like seeing that. Like, when a quarterback throws the football, his pass gets batted down, and then he goes up for the reception. Like, that's always cool. And Jeff Driscoll's a great athlete, for those that didn't know. Like, very fast player. At the quarterback position, doesn't look like it when you see him, but yeah, he actually is. And the Bengals tried to convert him into a wide receiver, and he got released, and boom, basically the day of, Matthew Stafford, is pronounced out. He was questionable a little bit before that, I think on Saturday morning. And then Sunday you find out that he's going to be out, maybe a week-to-week thing. And it's a fractured back. And I saw some interesting quotes about from people on social media, and my buddy Zach, who I've gotten to know through Facebook. Very interesting fella right there, cool guy. But he did say that literally Matthew Stafford broke his back trying to carry the team, and that could not be any farther from just facts. That is just straight up facts. And this season, it took me a little bit to kind of realize that, but damn, this defense is terrible for Detroit. And Stafford, like I said, this is the best I've seen him play since 2014, and it's a shame because he is actually playing at an MVP level. If this team was winning, he'd probably be 4th, 5th in the MVP voting for me personally, but damn, you just hate to see it. But Jeff Driscoll did not play bad. He did throw an interception to Nick Kwiatkowski, whatever his freaking name is. He threw an interception. And you know what he did? He hit-sticked the shit out of him right after throwing an interception. Way to go, Jeff Driscoll. Showing more heart than bitch Trash Bisky ever did. But let's go ahead and talk about Mitchell Trubisky. So, he was okay. He did make a couple of really good throws in this game. Good to see that he's getting his confidence back. I don't think it's going to change anything. Dealing with him and his future at the quarterback position, I think he's totally out of there. But it's good to see that he's somewhat getting his confidence back. Good for him. But the Lions' defense is just... their pass defense is not good. So, yeah, congratulations. Same thing we said with Sam Darnold. I can't fault Mitchell Trubisky for playing well against a bad defense, but I was way more impressed with Sam Darnold than Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky was still making dumb decisions, and by dumb I don't mean throwing picks. I mean it's 3rd and 5 and you pull a Marcus Mariota, you panic and you throw the check down 4 seconds too late, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's that for Trubisky. Something that I saw on film, I really enjoy this actually. The tight end screen to TJ Hawkinson. We talk about his blocking a lot as a prospect, and he is a great blocker. But damn, I actually like seeing the tight end screen to TJ Hawkinson. It's a good way to use him. Awesome. I hope they do more of those in Detroit. I think it's a very good play that they run. But let's move on. Dolphins at Colts. The players are playing hard for Brian Flores. They seem to be bought in, even if they are quote-unquote tanking. They don't look like it to me. I mean, they're just proving, hey, we can win games. We're not a terrible team. We shouldn't be 32nd in anyone's power rankings. We're actually not bad. And good for them. Good for them for coming out, playing hard, and Ryan Fitzpatrick slinging that thing around. I actually did write on my notes, like, good for Miami for sticking with Ryan Fitzpatrick. You don't need Josh Rosen to go out there and get killed. Let Fitzpatrick go out there. He's played for, like, every NFL team. Let him go out there and, do his little Fitz magic thingy that he does. Like, Josh Rosen can sit, put a team around him, and let him, let's figure it out from there. But let's see. Before I talk more about Josh Rosen, let's actually talk about the game. I think there is a little bit of concern with the Indianapolis Colts. Like, they seem to play up to their competition and play down to it at times. Kind of that Pittsburgh Steelers syndrome that we've seen over the last couple of years. Very concerning stuff. Like, this team without Andrew Luck actually stays afloat and looks pretty good with Jacoby Brissett. But without Jacoby Brissett, Jesus Christ, they look horrible. Like, Brian Hoyer was okay at times, not bad, but damn, that's a huge drop-off. Andrew Luck to Brissett is a drop-off in its own right, but not as drastic as Brissett to Brian Hoyer. That's just terrible. And Eric Ebron made, like, the most boneheaded mistake of all time. Not all time, but it was pretty bad. It's 4th and 10. He runs an 8-yard route, gets tackled for a gain of 9. The Dolphins let him catch the ball so they could bring him down. Like, what an idiotic play. Not knowing where the sticks are, not knowing where the marker is for first down, and you do that. Like, it's 4th and 10, you run an 8-yard route. Yeah, I'm going to let you catch it, because you know what? You're going to be a yard short. Yeah, I'd let you catch that, and then I'd just tap your leg and you're down. Like, can you not have any worse awareness than that in that critical moment? Where if you score a touchdown on this drive, you're going to win the game. And Adam Vinatieri, I feel bad for him. He's just having a terrible year. He's also a 44, 45, 87-year-old kicker. Like, yeah, he's pretty old. Like, I feel bad for the guy. I really do, but I think it's over for him. And with Josh Rosen, this is my take. I just want to put it out there. This is it for now until I actually watch film on Joe Burrow, Tua, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Jake Fromm, the kid from Utah or Utah State. Like, before I actually sit down and look at the tape in, like, February, I'm just going to put this out there. I don't think Miami should draft a quarterback. I think they have their guy, or at least a guy that they could at least put a team around and see what you got in them. This is my plan for Miami right now. Just on the fly, I'm doing it, okay? Draft an entire team, like draft offensive and defensive linemen, go get a running back in like the 3rd round. Maybe you get, I don't know, Jonathan Taylor, the kid from Oklahoma State. Maybe you get Ito Benjamin, the guy from Arizona, right? Like, just, I don't know, build a team, get some playmakers on both sides of the ball, build through the trenches, see what Josh Rosen is going to offer you in 2020. If he's not the answer, go get Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Boom. I just solved your whole tanking mystery. Like, at least see what you have in Josh Rosen first. Don't kick him to the curb, man. He's not a doormat. Panthers at Packers. Yes, I'm a Packer fan. I'm going to have a million notes on this game, so bear with me. I'm sorry that I watch every snap of this game compared to the others. I'm a Green Bay fan. What do you expect me to do, damn it? But let's go ahead and get started. Kyle Allen balled his little ass off, man. I tell you. He did have that fumble. He did have an interception to Tremont, but he balled out. He kept his team in it. And yes, you can excuse a couple of mistakes for keeping your team in the game. Like, it literally came down to like 6 to 8 inches that McCaffrey just was out. He just did not get in the end zone. But it was a great game. It was a great game to watch. A good win for Green Bay. It's not one that you feel happy about completely, but it's just good to get a W heading into your bye week as you prepare for the toughest matchup of the season. And yeah, welcome back Devontae Adams. This is a great game for him. Still doesn't have a touchdown, I don't think. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a touchdown. Yeah, you mind getting in the end zone, like, what does he have? Julio Jones syndrome from last year? Yeah, Falcons fans are going to be triggered now. Look what you did, JJ. But yeah, seriously, like, get your ass in the end zone, Devontae. Nobody else can except Aaron Jones. Help him out, damn it. And speaking of Aaron Jones, another great game. Like, what more can I say about Aaron Jones? He's just been awesome for this team. Just continues to ball out. And Jimmy Graham. Let's just talk about Jimmy Graham for a second. He's bad. I get that he had one great catch in this game. Congratulations. You know, you made one play. I'm proud of you, bud. I was not a fan of the Jimmy Graham signing from the get-go because I knew this was a bad signing. Excuse me. He just showed signs that he was not going to be his, you know, Seattle self. Nonetheless, New Orleans, that shit was over. That's a pot dream at that point. I mean, he wasn't even a Seattle self. He's dropping balls in the red zone. His blocking's actually improved. I'll tell you that much. But as a receiving guy, he just hasn't been that good this year. He probably could have like 6 or 7 touchdowns if he knew how to, catch the fucking football. You know, like, that'd be great. But he's kind of like the Blake Martinez of tight ends right now. Just get him off the field. You know, and we'll talk more about Blake Martinez in a second. Yes, I'm going to rip on him more. But Jimmy Graham, I just wasn't a fan. Like, I'd rather have washed up Jordy Nelson who can't run than Jimmy Graham. Because at least Jordy's going to catch the ball. At least he's going to get open. You know, he's kind of like the Jason Witten of wide receivers. Old, slow, but somehow finds his way open. Like, what can I say? And I mean, like, Jason Witten at this point versus Jordy Nelson at that point. I'm not saying they're the parallel in terms of their career. We all know Jason Witten is one of the best, you know, tight ends to play, at least one of the top 10 guys. But we got our safety back, one of our safeties back. Ibrahim Campbell used to play for Cleveland. Way to go, Cleveland. We appreciate that. Yeah, Ibrahim Campbell, by the way, better middle linebacker than Blake Martinez, who's an actual linebacker. Ibrahim Campbell's a safety. He's a strong safety who plays in the box. And he is a better linebacker than Blake Martinez. Orwin Burks, by the way, I'm not a PFF guy. I say that all the time, but here I am, using more of their shit. Orwin Burks played 4 snaps at middle linebacker, had a drastically higher grading system, or a higher grade than Blake Martinez. Like, drastically. Like, it wasn't even close. I think Blake had like a 48, which is pretty bad. Orwin Burks had like a 72, which is solid. Let's see here. Good game from McCaffrey and DJ Moore. I thought Greg Olsen made some big catches later in the game as well. A little concerning, you know, Kevin King did not have the greatest game, but he did play better late, had a lot of pass breakups, did a good job contesting some 50-50 balls as well. So yeah, he didn't start off great, but he finished strong. And the Packers almost beat themselves a few times. There was a terrible roughing the passer call on Gerald McCoy. I do admit that. There was also a pretty shitty offensive pass interference call on Alan Lazard. So, yeah, 50-50, I guess. But on that drive, you know, there was 2 seconds left. Now, I think people get this confused, right? It was a bad play call by Matt LaFleur. Now, when you say that, people are like, oh, but if they would have got it, it would have been a good play call. Yes. But here's the thing. When I'm saying it's a bad play call, I'm not also saying it's a bad decision. It was a good decision. You just dialed up the wrong play. Like, they're playing the run. And your dumbass is going to run it up the gut when they pinch the line? Are you kidding me? What are you, playing Madden on fucking rookie? Like, get a grip, Matt LaFleur. Stop trying to be cute. Throw a back shoulder fade to Devontae, or find a way to get someone open, you know, over the middle or the back of the end zone. Don't get cute with it. Come on, man. Like, goddamn. Did you get that from Sean McVay? Like, come on. And then the couple of offsides penalties late in the game basically kept the drive going, giving up 4th and 10. You know, Tremont a step too late. But the Packers do get the win. They head into their bye week. Not one that they should feel super proud about, but you did get a win. It's momentum. But let's go ahead and talk Rams at Steelers. You know, I made a whole video about the Steelers, and it was basically a result of this game. It was my upset of the week. Had them winning. They win. or they won. Simple as that. I think Minka Fitzpatrick is making a great case to be Defensive Player of the Year, at least in the nominee section. TJ Watt, Bud Dupree continue to ball out. Bud Dupree's actually having a great season. Ironically, in a contract year, we'll see what happens when he gets his money, if he'll turn into a great pass rusher, or if he'll just be Nick Perry all over again for Pittsburgh. You know, kind of like how Nick Perry was for Green Bay, where he had like that 11, 12 sack season and basically disappeared. Does he have a job, by the way? Just curious. I do have genuine concerns for the LA Rams moving forward. I'm still debating if I should make that into a video. I probably will, so I'm not going to spaz out too much on the Rams. But I am concerned about them moving forward. I think they're just bad. They don't have depth. They have a lot of guys they have to pay in the future. You know, it's bad. They're going to have to try to get off some contracts. And then they traded like a bunch of picks to get Jalen Ramsey. So good luck building through the draft with like no high draft capital. Like, yes, you can find guys in the 6th round, but how often does that happen, right? Not as often as you would like it to happen in the first 2 rounds. There's a reason for that. Jared Goff, though, I'll talk about this more in the video that I plan on making probably Friday. He's the poster child for a system quarterback. Like, my comparison for Josh Rosen was actually Jared Goff, because you got to put talent around him to be good. He doesn't elevate anyone's game. He doesn't elevate talent. You got to put the talent around him for him to actually play good. And when one of those players are missing and you can't run the football, you're not calling on Jared Goff to make a play. You're just not. He's not Deshaun Watson. He's not Russell Wilson. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not all these other playmaking quarterbacks, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. He's not even Drew Brees or Brady. Those guys can make plays when they need to. They elevate talent. They play better sometimes when shit breaks down. If shit breaks down for Jared Goff, he's just terrible. I'll just leave it at that. And the Steelers' offense, I mean, yes, while their defense is balling, it's great to see because it's Steeler football. Like I talked about in the video, their offense does need a little bit of juice. They need something to really get it going. Juju needs to get the ball more. I don't know why he's not, but that's whatever. James Washington seems to be the guy. And that's fine. It's about time that he has been. Vikings and Cowboys. You like that? Dallas, what the hell? The one time I pick you guys to win in a game that I need you guys to win to create separation in the NFC North, you fail. So good luck being 9-7 this year like I predicted you to be. Anyway, let's continue with the scheduled programming. Dalvin Cook dominated that overrated Cowboys defense. Now, yes, Dallas is rated fairly good in scoring defense. Well, I'll actually have to check that after this game because they just gave up 28 to Minnesota. The Cowboys defense is overrated. Okay, I'm just going to say it. No one else is going to say it. No one else is bold enough to say it. Everyone's scared to say it. I'll say it. They're overrated. And I said that a few weeks ago. I kind of hinted at the fact that they were going to be overrated in my prediction video at the beginning of the year. Like, yes, they're talented. They're not all that great. Come on. You really think Byron Jones is Jalen Ramsey? I love Byron Jones. He's a UConn guy. I'm from Connecticut, so yeah, I have no choice. I gotta like him. He's in the NFL, damn it. But he's not Jalen Ramsey. He's not Stephon Gilmore. Chill out, okay? DeMarcus Lawrence. I've seen you pop in a few times. You didn't stick around that long, I guess. Like, the defense is overrated to me. Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, you're just a more athletic Blake Martinez at this point. I mean, you're not really all that great in coverage. You're a great Madden linebacker, not a great real-life linebacker. I mean, yeah, sorry, had to say it. Jalen Smith, probably the best defensive player on your team. Like I thought he would be eventually. The Vikings' offensive line and defensive line just completely dominated the Dallas Cowboys. They just dominated on both sides. The offensive line dominated Dallas's defensive line, and that defensive line for Minnesota dominated Dallas's offensive line. You know, like, Everson Griffin is having a great season. He may not be getting, like 20 sacks on the year, but he's getting a lot of QB pressures, man. Danielle Hunter's a beast. I mean, this is stuff we already knew, right? Harrison Smith's a stud. Again, stuff we already knew. Eric Kendrick's having a great year. We knew that was going to happen eventually. And I'm just going to say this again. Ezekiel Elliott, overrated, overpaid. And to me, he's starting to become more overrated. Yes, before the contract, there was an argument that he was the best running back in the league. And I bought into it. As a lot of people would have. Where's he been, since then? 20 carries, 47 yards. That is a 2.35 yards per carry. That is not good in any stretch of the imagination. Any sort of metric you want to use, whether it's PFF, advanced stats, that's not good. That is just terrible. And he did not look good in the receiving game, especially late in the game. And poor Dak Prescott, I mean, he actually played very well. His running back just let him down. Randall Cobb torching the Vikings. Love to see it. It's almost like I saw it twice a year, unless he was hurt somewhere else for a team that wears green and yellow. Yeah, I miss you, Cobb. Just saying. Let's have this discussion real quick. Can the Vikings actually win the Super Bowl? Let's talk about it. Cousins didn't have, the greatest game, but he played good, right? Winning primetime games, baby. We need to get rid of that narrative right now, okay? I'm done with that. You're beating a dead horse at this point if you keep bringing up Kirk Cousins in primetime games. I'm sorry. What do you want me to tell you? Yes, I know. I've been critical of Kirk Cousins. I've liked Kirk Cousins a lot. But, damn. Just damn, Can they win a Super Bowl? Yeah, I don't see why they can't. On the road, it's going to be a little tough. If you have to go to Seattle, if you have to go to Green Bay, or even San Francisco. Well, San Francisco, I don't know. That might be a good matchup for them. That's going to be interesting. But if they get to play at home, if they can somehow beat out Green Bay, get a top 2 seed, they might. And I know that was a voice crack. They might. They might just make the Super Bowl. They might. Seahawks at 49ers, man. Seattle's backup center, Joey Hunt, is abysmal. He is god-awful, terrible. Got bullied multiple times that game. And Jadeveon Clowney. This is why sacks or statistics pointing out QB sacks is a little overrated at times when you're talking about who's the best pass rusher. Jadeveon Clowney dominated this game. Just dominated this game. And he had 1 sack. And he dominated. He had 5 tackles for loss. He had a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, a touchdown. He was all over the place. He rattled Jimmy G all night. And MVP Russ, showed up in the second half and in overtime. Had a couple of bad plays. He fumbled. And he did throw a bad interception to, is his name Dre Greenlaw? In overtime. That could have costed him the game. Luckily, it didn't. But this was a bad game for Jimmy G. He had some overthrows. He overthrew one of his receivers. It may have been Kendrick Bourne. And it ended up being an interception. And he had some bad fumbles. And he did throw a lot of interceptable passes that weren't caught by Seattle. I think there were some dropped picks on Seattle's end. KJ Wright had a chance to seal the deal. I think Shaquille Griffin was in position to get another pick, or to get a pick. I don't know. It was rough. Chris Carson had his way in the run game a few times. When it came to short yardage situations, not so much aside from the 1 rushing yard touchdown. But Chris Carson did have his way a lot in the run game. So a little concerning if you're San Francisco, but I think they're matchup dependent as well. And no, San Francisco did not get exposed. I know they lost the game, and everyone loves to say that term now, but they didn't get exposed. They ran into a buzzsaw. That was the Seattle Seahawks. They met the MVP of the league, and they didn't quite play as well. They played well enough to win. They just didn't get the dub. And Trey Flowers was probably the best defensive back for Seattle that game. Had a rough start, made up for it, got a sack. I'm pretty sure he broke up a bunch of passes, almost had an interception, I think, near the red zone, if not in the red zone. Trey Flowers balled his ass off. And then Jason Sanders for the win. Or no, Jason Myers. I always screw that up. Jason Myers is the kicker for Seattle. He had a game winner. That 49ers rookie kicker, I think his name was like Chase Mix something. Can't remember. I think he went 2 for 3 in that game. I could be wrong, maybe. I mean, he made some field goals in that game. He did miss the game winner in overtime, but what are you going to do? I mean, that's the only kick he missed. That's one that he should have made, but things happen. It's the NFL. But I tell you what, man, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know how you felt about your favorite team's performance down below, what you expect to see from them throughout the year, and peace out.